interesting. Should I say all that again? I can't say that again. I was perfect. No.
That's all good.
No. Anyway, but I think it's interesting here that, what we found was kind of unique support for this notion of building recovery capital. Again, it's different from clinical services, different from mutual help organizations. There's something that your RCCs are providing that are not provided elsewhere. So that's their value, I think. So here's some discussion questions. I'm hoping we'll have 15 minutes here of discussion. And we want to hear from you regarding, thoughts that you may have here. Obviously, I've been talking today about kind of really concepts and, what they are and how they might work. But what else is missing? What do you see as missing? What comes to mind when you think about RCCs and their role in supporting recovery? And then how can we start to engage stakeholders? What are other research questions that we need to answer regarding these? And then what role should Engelbart Humperdinck play, if any, going forwards in explaining these things? So that's a joke, by the way. I just like saying Engelbart Humperdinck because it's such a great name. His real name was Jerry Dorsey. They changed it to Engelbart Humperdinck. Can you believe that? I mean, what's wrong with Jerry Dorsey, for goodness sake? That's show business for you. Anyway, not that I like Engelbart Humperdinck or anything, but I don't. I just like saying his name. Anyway, that's enough. So I'll turn it over to you guys, and hopefully we can share your thoughts, any questions, and we'll have a facility, just so you know, on the website, I think, where we'll be able to post questions and comments and things like that, or at least document other thoughts that you may have as we go along here in this 5-year journey of building infrastructure for recovery community centers. Thank you so much for listening and coming today. And please speak up and let us know your thoughts and questions.
Yes, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Teresa. My name is OK. I work with Recovery ATX, and I'm a recovery coach, care specialist, and I'm going out to community because I'm mostly in a community where it's low income, poverty, and what I see is the problem is, number one, a lot of people that do have experience with any kind of substance is usually sleeping on the streets. I get a lot under the bridge, and there's really no social, nothing, like there's a lot of privileges that they can use, but a lot of times the reason why they don't use it, sometimes they're ashamed of where they are. I'm in the street, I'm homeless, people are they're not gonna expect me, I don't look right because of COVID. So there's a lot of barriers in there that I see. And then also that I do see is the ones that you try to get housing, they've been so comfortable living where they were living that they really don't want to go into a house. They just like real comfortable like where they at. Those are the downfalls that I see. And then like when I do go to the community where they're supposed to have a place where they housing all the homeless, and they have a lot like where there's a tent where they all can live, like it's called tiny houses. And the problem that I see with those is a lot of times the support that they can get, people now because of COVID is really afraid to go face to face, and trying to figure out ways on how we can do that.
Yeah. Thanks, Teresa. Yeah, that sounds like a tough population there that you're detailing. Obviously, homeless population with formidable barriers, just in terms of their obviously the shame that they're experiencing. That's a barrier, a personal, individual barrier. But there may be also other structural barriers that prevent them from accessing help, or at least the perceptions that they may have. I'm just wondering, in those cases, that in many cities and areas, they have active outreach teams with people with lived experience that can go out to those to help build bridges, to provide services where they're at. I don't know if that's something that happens with you, whether that could actually be a question mark for these recovery support centers and community centers to offer that support and outreach as part of what they do. Maybe there are some centers out there that already do that as part of under the auspices of what they do. But that's one thing that happens in certain areas, I know, with outreach, for example, for needle exchange and other kinds of acute medical services, first aid, and to help build bridges and provide services where individuals are at, including homelessness.
Yes, I agree with you. And a lot of time is a lot of mental health issues, like they need their medications. And yeah, we do have outreach that do come out, and then we'll get them like a map card. We'll get their medication to them. But the problem is, yeah, we giving thanks to you, but then who's really, you know, because of the COVID, it's like a hands, like kind of like hands off. Like I can come here, I can do that, but I got to leave. I'm not trying to be sick.
No, it's amplified, isn't it? It's amplified under the COVID conditions for sure.
Exactly.
And that's a real shame. Of course, everybody's suffering, and these individuals are suffering even more probably because of that. Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks, Teresa. Thanks for raising that issue. That's something that we'll put on the radar screen as a real issue that to address as part of what we do.
All right, thank you so much.
I mean, man, you
experience a lot of the same here in downtown Atlanta. Same situation.
Thanks, Cassandra.
Could I ask a question? My name's Sarko. I'm from Winthrop, Mass. I just wanted to see how this group is faring with trying to get the feds to view substance use disorder as a mental illness and aid in decriminalizing self-directed behavior. Granted, at times it's dysfunctional self-directed behavior that is causing harm, but kind of moving it, speeding up its movement out of the criminal justice sphere and into the public health sphere, kind of like Oregon just did. And I'll quiet down and take your response.
Yeah,
I know in Texas where I live, they actually offer recovery support service coaches, 46-hour training inside the prison. And what that does is help people so when they get out, we've had like 22 different cities in the state, throughout the state, where they have recovery support centers that they can go and attach with somewhere near them in most cases, not all, so that when they get out, they can go and volunteer and help. And some of them even get a job overtime, you know, so that's been something else. The other thing I was thinking about, as I heard the young lady talk about homelessness, we have developed a resource list of churches, different organizations. We have network meetings with about 30 different organizations in the community in which we live. And we collaborate together to help, you know, homeless folk at different times, you know, with things. Of course, COVID has thrown a wrench in everything. So we do some things on Zoom. Of course, homeless people, they may not have access to Zoom, so we have to go out with mask up and go out and touch, reach out to them.
Yeah, thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks for that, Emmanuel. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Jennifer Williams. I just wanted to chime in. I actually have I work in the state of Florida, and I actually have a coworker who works in the state as well. And you know, the lady who was talking about the individuals who are experiencing homelessness, you know, not wanting to be a part of the community because of, you know, their circumstances at the time and not having access to showers. We live in a pretty rural area, but like there's a community breakfast on Saturday morning where there's an organization that has a mobile shower unit, and they bring it in, and no one has to be in contact with people. I mean, somebody has to go in and clean it, obviously. But you know, those are different partnerships, the community showers. And then the lady that I work with, she was actually had experienced homelessness for a significant amount of time. So she was able to overcome those barriers because she didn't want to sleep in a house or an apartment when she first got one, because she was so uncomfortable, and the fear of adapting back to that and then going and then potentially becoming, you know, in that situation again was overwhelming. So, but she was able to work through that, and now she has her own home with her kid, and I mean, she works for the state. She's doing really well. So yes, these are real barriers, but that is really, you know, one of the important things about lived experience and peers, because someone who's had similar experience can come alongside and say, hey, you know, I understand. Like it's a hard thing, and let's see what we can do to work through it. And I mean, I know it's challenging, but it's not hopeless.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks,
I just
Jennifer.
like to add to that, with everything that the people had just said, because I feel like, you know, giving that hope and that self-esteem, and if people are actually believing that there is a valid course to where they will succeed in building those relationships, that gives them a lot better chance. And that kind of goes to some of the research that you just showed also. If people feel like they have the opportunity where things will move forward and they feel supported, then it just raises the likelihood of them succeeding. And I think that's one of the big bases that we're working on right now, is to try and foster that sense of community and that sense of self-esteem and just make things available. I think that goes a long way.
I'm Zach with ISARA. I work out of Ogden, Utah. I'm a peer recovery co-chair, and outreach is probably one of my favorite aspects of my job. COVID has thrown a monkey wrench in it, like everybody's saying, but this won't last forever. And homelessness is always going to be a problem as long as we attach financial issues to it. If we treat it like a humanitarian issue, it'd work out different, I think. And as for centers and their success rate in the community, I think people that live in that community, that have lived experiences and everything, and they know the community healthcare system, the judicial system, all that stuff, are the best candidates to work in those centers. So they know the geographic, and they know the people that live in it, and they know the justice system and the jails and the prisons, and I think they would have the most success in a center.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Roxanne Newman. I'm a peer recovery specialist out of Rhode Island. I'm no longer working as one, but I used to work at the Anchor Recovery Community Center. And thank you, Dr. Kelly, for that amazing presentation, very informative. In terms of research, I'm wondering if it would be beneficial to look at the actual recovery coach, the peer recovery specialists, and their interactions with the people who use the center. For instance, in Anchor, I know that, you know, we would work one-on-one with people and talk to them, and we might be able to see and analyze, like, what type of interactions work better for, you know, with outcomes, as far as even when, like you were saying, that alcohol use disorder, that specific population, like what type of retention, what works better for retention, considering in early recovery, it's so important. These recovery centers are very pivotal and important in building that recovery capital. So I definitely think looking at the peer recovery coaches, and in addition to that, also looking at what works for the peer recovery coaches in terms of for them. Because if you think about it from a clinical perspective, getting burnt out, I've seen phenomenal peer recovery coaches who tend to make the job their recovery and then end up going back into a reoccurrence. So paying special attention, because if the centers themselves and the people who are utilizing them are only going to be, are only going to benefit more if the people who are actually working within it are doing well. Yeah, right on. No, thanks, Roxanne. Thanks for that comment. That's another very important research question, isn't it? A set of research questions, really. You raise a number of very important points in terms of burnout and overextension, which people, you know, often when they get into recovery, they want to give back and they want to help, and they feel that kind of responsibility. Something to drink. And they have that ability to do that, to play that role when few others can. But there is a danger, of course, of overextending oneself. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but because we only go to one today, would love to go longer. I know it's just, there's so many great questions and people with burning questions to have. But please put them in the chat if you can still do that, so that we'll have the record of them. And like I said, we want to be able to document all of your questions and great thoughts that you have, because you are what we need. You know, we need your voice, we need your expressions, we need all that to be able to really make a difference in terms of what we do with the research and evaluation. So please
let us know what you're thinking, whatever it is. Get it down, let us know it. So that will really inform the kind of really valuable research questions that we can ask and hopefully answer with the stuff that we're doing. And I'll put it back over to Dr. Höppner now. Gina?
I just wanted to add my thank you as well. This is amazing. I love the energy. I love all the sharing of thoughts and the ideas that come out. And I fully agree with John. We'll be looking through this chat. It's a couple of you have requested it, and we'll make sure we'll get it to you, because it's a great way to just kind of pool our thoughts and share ideas. And that is what we want to be going forward. This is our first foray. The next seminar is going to happen soon. We will email you when it happens. We will think about what topics are most important. So we're going to be building this together with you all. And I'm so excited that we can share it with this wonderful group. Thank you all for being there and taking this this journey with us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It was really
everybody.
terrific.
Thank you guys. Yeah, see you all again soon. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Stay safe.
Sure. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Can we stay on a minute and write our questions in the chat?
You're gonna stay here.
Oh, hey, I'm already here. So can I ask the question? Can I ask the question? So, Dr. Kelly, I've been stalking you forever, and I was there. I advocated for you to be at the New England School of Addiction. I was like, so with regards to the science, the neuroscience of addiction, the neurobiology of addiction, we've done very, very well in explaining what happens to the brain with use. And I've been listening to you trying to see, do we have, you get into it, you know, the dopamine receptors and all that, but I wish you could package the neurobiology or the neuroscience of recovery into like just the science, and because my question has always been, do people come back on board? Do they get well? Do brain images actually change? Because we see the brain images when people have used, and you can see how the matter is less and all that stuff. In terms of convincing people that actually recovery is, and there's an end, the remission happens and the brain comes back on board, but maybe the brain doesn't come back the way it originally was for certain drugs, because certain drugs are very detrimental. And so I've been dying for the neuroscience of recovery and what actually happens to the brain. And if we can package it that way, I think it would be really good. As in, for example, if we're going through, we are teaching people a series on recovery. What is it? This is its neurobiology. You compare it to the neurobiology of addiction, to the neurobiology of recovery. Then you bring in the social aspect, the capital and all that, the dopamine receptors. I really think it would do very well for people like us who are trying to advocate for a recovery-oriented system. The second part is, the philosophy of Massachusetts is there's no wrong door. So if you come into a detox, there are people who come into a detox.
Are you coming back?
And then leave
Hello.
and never.
Are you coming back?
Oh,
what happened?
Somebody's talking.
Oh, geez. Okay. Bye.
So there are people who come into a detox maybe once and then head into recovery. There are people who do a detox and then a residential and then go into their recovery. There are those who come in. So how do we build a recovery-oriented system at every level of treatment, rather than waiting for the person to be discharged out of the treatment system and then start their recovery? No, recovery is at every point of this person's journey. And so I've been wondering, for example, if I'm working in a residential service, or at least I'm overseeing services that are residential, I want them, that the aftercare coordinator is thinking about the person's recovery and thinking about all those things that were outside that that slide that you showed, the outside thingy of, the middle had assessment, treatment, blah, blah, blah. But the outside had those particular things, and that we make them part of treatment. Because if we say it's a chronic disease, we say it's a brain disease, then it should have an end. if people get better from cancer, if they get better from all these chronic diseases, then everybody who touches this person should be thinking of recovery as the end, and what does it take, not just treatment but all these other things. So if the person is being discharged out of a detox, or so in other words, the same way we have built a trauma-informed system, I would want us to think about a recovery-oriented system. And how does that look like, such that at every point that we touch a person, we are thinking of recovery as the end, you know, not just after we discharge them, you know? Yeah, so just food for thought, the science and what a recovery oriented system of care looks like, because really every system that is built around addiction should be having recovery as the goal, not just finishing treatment, not just, you know, finishing your number of, you know, groups and things like that. No, recovery is the goal. So, hey.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that off your chest.
Oh, it's been on my chest. I was like, I never got a chance to tell you when you came to DPH. I never got a chance to tell you when at the New England school. So here I am. I'm a great advocate. I am, yeah.
Well,
alrighty.
Beautifully said. Beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah. So food for thought.
You're right on. Absolutely. I don't think there's many people here, if any, would disagree with you.
Yeah.
Because Lillian, you know, in terms of absolutely, that's what every clinician we should be thinking about. Is not just about how do I treat this person, but how do I get them connected and increase the chances of long-term remission and recovery.
Yes, actually, long-term remission. And I like the word remission because I think that's the language of clinicians. They think of remission that way, because if we're selling this as a chronic disease, we might as well go all out, as in, and use the language, because sometimes people separate recovery from addiction as if it's some kind of thing that's out there for people who, oh, I have these many years of recovery on my belt. No, as in remission is, you know, there's wellness at the end of this journey. And so things like brain images that show that actually people do get better, and dopamine receptors get better when you stop using, and things like that. People start to feel better physically, people start to feel better, you know? So I think adding beef to that neuroscience and packaging it as just the neuroscience of recovery and remission, actually the neuroscience of recovery and remission would do us very, very well. We can teach it, we can you know, have it as a group in everywhere. Clinicians can learn more about it. I think it would be really great.
Thank you, Lillian.
It's good to hear someone with so much passion. We need that. Dr. Kelly, I'm Anne Marie from Texas Tech University, and we miss you. We need to have you back down again. But what I want to mention is I've been in recovery in 1986, and since 1986, and we're getting there. You know, we need, you know, but people have got to take up the torch and start moving. You know, at our center, we work with students in recovery, and we've had to really look at how we deal with people when they return to use. You know, it used to be you lose your scholarship, you know, and now, but you know, but it just takes time, and it takes working with, you know, what we already have in place. But Dr. Kelly, thank you so much. Love you.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
Gotta go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Yeah. Well, you make it.
Yes.
You make it. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank you all so much. I have to go, but great to see you all. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for those great comments and great questions. And please stay tuned. Please stay tuned for the future webinars. And we'll be emailing you. So look out for the emails, and we'll see you all again soon. But reach out as well independently if you want.